Hi, today I'm gonna be reacting to 21 most annoying Pokemon to evolve by MNJ TV. I was recommending a lot of I was recommended a lot of stuff from him as well, so thank you so much. Hi, I'm Maple. I like Pokemon. I mostly play Pokemon Kaizo Ironmon and you know, good old Nuzlocke every now and then. But yeah, I like Pokemon. I like Pokemon, so let's just get started, okay?
Greetings, Pokefans! Michael here, and most Pokemon are pretty straightforward to evolve, usually by leveling them up or giving them a stone. This video is not about those Pokemon. Here are the 21 most annoying Pokemon to evolve in no particular order, except for the last one, which is definitely the worst. The first few I want to talk about all fall into the same general category, requiring something to happen that you can't fully control. The first is Sliggoo into Goodra.
I was expecting the first one to be like trade evos because I remember like as a kid. So, you know, having friends. Yeah.
Evolution is a simple level up, but it requires it to be raining in the overworld. This requires some amount of luck, since there are very few locations in Pokemon that are raining all the time. In Sword and Shield, this isn't too bad, since you can simply view the weather on the map and go to a place where it's raining, but in—
Oh, I forgot that was something in Sword and Shield that they had. Like, you just view the weather. I thought, that's cute, actually.
Legends Arceus or Scarlet and Violet, you kinda just have to get lucky, since the weather patterns are seemingly pretty random and unpredictable. Waiting for an overworld thing to happen that you don't really have much of an influence on when it happens is pretty annoying. The next is Galarian Farfetch'd into Sirfetch'd. This evolution requires that the Farfetch'd lands 3 critical hits in one battle.
Oh. Wait, 3 crits in one battle is kind of crazy. And this is like a newer mon as well, so like, well, in the old gen, well, no, they didn't change the rate. It's the damage that a crit does. Never mind, never mind. I was mixing them up.
This, as it turns out, is kinda hard to make happen. The chance for a critical hit is only about 4% each turn with no modifiers.
Oh, wait, they did change it. Okay, I thought they nerfed the damage only, and I was mixing them up. But it looks like the percentage did change. Okay, okay.
And Galarian Farfetch'd doesn't learn a high crit chance move until Leaf Blade at level 55. Thankfully, you can increase your chances by having your Farfetch'd hold the Leak item, which boosts its critical hit ratio to +2, meaning you have a 50% chance each turn.
Oh, okay, 50% is like... Okay, that's still like 3 coin flips. I've lost more than 3 coin flips in a row.
Unfortunately, the only way to get the Leak item is from Wild Farfetch'd, and while generously 50% of them have one, which seems strangely low
Yeah, I thought they would all have them. It's like, I don't know, in their model.
Considering they're all holding one?
Yeah.
It's still a pain to go and grab one if you didn't already have it. But even once you get a Leak, you still have to actually make the crits happen, which means finding an opponent that will survive 3 critical hits without ending the battle. This means finding a trainer with enough Pokemon or a wild Pokemon that is both tanky enough to live 3 hits and not KO you in the process.
You know, I never considered it before, but using Thief on the Farfetch with like the Leak, I think should delete the Leak from the model. I think that'd be funnier. Wait. I guess if you use Thief on like a Spoink. Oh, not the Pearl. Okay, you know, maybe I should stop having thoughts. Yeah.
It's happen, which means finding an opponent that will survive 3 critical hits without ending the battle. This means finding a trainer with enough Pokemon or a wild Pokemon that is both tanky enough to live 3 hits and not KO you in the process. This took me far too long when doing it for the first and only time, eventually finding that Shuckle worked due to its high defenses and low offenses. It was a time-consuming process that in total took me over half an hour of trying and failing and adjusting the strategy before finally succeeding. And that is definitely something that I would consider annoying. The next one is Galarian Yamask to Runerigus. Just who allowed this? For this evolution, the Yamask has to take 49 or more HP points of damage without fainting. And this
Yeah, I remember this fact from another one of his videos, and I'll say it every time. Oh my god, man. Yeah, Mass, you're cool and all, but you ain't worth it. Oh my god.
This has to come from enemy attacks, so self-inflicted curse damage or weather chip damage won't work. This is so frustrating to do, since you can't control what the enemy Pokemon is gonna do. Sometimes they won't attack. Other times they'll hit too hard and KO you, which can happen a lot since Yamask has a measly base 38 HP.
Yeah, he's like really frail too. And on top of that, like enemy Pokemon or enemy like trainer AI tends to be like random most of the time. So good luck.
I eventually got sick of hoping I'd get lucky and ended up using a single-use focus sash to make it work in my first sword playthrough. But then once that happens, you're still not done, because you then have to walk under the stone archway in the dusty bowl, and that's when the evolution happens. Why? Why did they make this so tricky and convoluted? Why didn't they just make it a regular level up like Unovan Yamask into Cophagrigus? It's different Yamasks. It's not like a Yamask doing a different evolution into it's a different form. They could have just done that. How is anyone supposed to figure out this method without the internet?
Yeah. Yeah, but Pokemon sometimes gets a little too quirky. I would even argue that it'd be better just to like, I don't know, walk under that specific like stone hedge in the first place, and maybe that would be okay. It's kind of like when you talk to like a mossy rock in the middle of the forest to evolve your Eevee. Like, I think those are comparable. I think taking a certain amount of points of damage and then making sure your frail Pokemon doesn't faint, only to then walk under a rock and then to evolve it, I think that's too much of a pain in the ass for me. Just for me, you know?
Hello, it is I, Shmomipo, and I'm here to tell you, subscribe!
Sorry, but yeah, I love Runerigus. I really hate this evolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an entire episode. My first sword playthrough. It's bad. The next evolution is not quite as out of your control as the previous ones, but it still somewhat is. And that is Tyrogue into Hitmontop. When Tyrogue reaches level 20, whether it evolves into Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, or Hitmontop depends on its attack and defense stats. If its attack is higher, it becomes Hitmonlee. If its defense is higher, it becomes Hitmonchan. It only becomes Hitmontop if both stats are equal. Making one stat higher than the other is trivial. Just do a bit of EV training or feed it a couple vitamins. But making them equal is significantly more tricky. If your Tyrogue has a nature that boosts or drops either attack or defense, you'll have to do a lot of EV training to offset that difference. You could change its nature, but while nature mints are easily available in Scarlet and Violet,
Yeah, the old games when Hitmontop first came out, oh my god. The heck's a mint.
Tyrogue isn't currently in Scarlet and Violet. The mints are tricky to get in Gen 8 and don't exist before that.
Yeah.
And this doesn't even take into account a variation in IVs, which is not something you can really fix.
Yeah, your Pokemon are just born different, basically. It's just like, if your Pokemon is just born with a certain amount of IVs, then, oh well, I guess. Get hacked, get fucked, oh well.
Because hyper training is only in Gen 7 and 8 and requires the Pokemon to be level 100. Not only is no one gonna get a Tyrogue to level 100, but once it is level 100, it can't evolve anymore because it has to level up. In short, if you're aiming for Hitmontop, it's gonna be some trial and error, and you probably need to be ready with the B button or saving before the leveling up, and then restart your game, do a little bit of editing of the stats, and try again. And it's pretty irritating to deal with that.
It's a pain in the ass process. Like, yeah, getting it above or below a certain stat is fine. Getting them to be equal? Oh my god.
Another evolution made annoying by having to deal with a certain metric before evolving is Feebas into Milotic.
The beauty! Oh my god. I used to love making Pokeblocks. Like, I loved like Gen 3 contests because I wanted to give all my Pokemon like a ribbon. So I made so many Pokeblocks. But like one time I let my cousin play my game and he used like all my berries so I couldn't plant anymore. I restart my game.
as of today, in most games Feebas is in, you're going to evolve it by trading it while holding the Prism Scale. It's an item introduced in Gen 5 to circumvent the evolution method I'm about to go over, making it one of the several trade while holding an item evolutions, which are a bit annoying, but not annoying enough to warrant a spot in this video. Prior to the Prism Scale and in the Hoenn and Sinnoh remakes, the Prism Scale is unobtainable. That means Feebas can only evolve by having its beauty condition, one of the 5 contest conditions.
Get blending, bitch. I love Pokeblocks. Okay, but it's annoying, but I like contests.
Raised to 170 or higher, then leveled up. This is not maxing it out since 255 is the max, but since every Pokemon starts at 0, it's still quite the investment. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you raise it by grooming from Daisy Oak or the Haircut Brothers, which is straightforward but time-consuming since it's going to require multiple days to get it done. In the Hoenn and Sinnoh games, you raise this metric by making dry-flavored Pokeblocks or Poffins, which is not a simple task. You have to have the right berries, which may be time-consuming itself.
Yeah, and some berries are just better. Like, a lot of, like, the berries you would get later on, you never really want to use, like, Oran berries or Chesto berries because they make shit Pokeblocks. God. I'm trying to remember. Like, Kelpsy was a good one. Like, all the berries that could raise your, stats. Or, like, change your stats and that kind of stuff. Those tend to be pretty good. There's a couple other ones I'm probably forgetting. But, yeah, those are awesome.
Then go through the process of making the right recipes and being good enough at the minigames. And
Okay, I was really good at the Pokeblocks one, but the Puffin one, I don't know why I was ass.
Arcus help you if your Feebas has a nature that dislikes the dry flavor, because then it gets less of a beauty benefit from each snack. And to top all of this off, you can permanently screw this up. In all the Hoenn and Sinnoh games except Oris, feeding a Pokemon Pokeblocks or Poffins increases its sheen. And once that value maxes out, it cannot eat anymore.
Yeah, that's why you want to use, like, only the best berries for your fish.
This is irreversible. So if you maxed your Feebas's sheen, but didn't get its beauty high enough in the process, that Feebas can never evolve unless you transfer it to a game where you can get a Prism Scale.
High quality berries only. Feebas is a picky bitch right now.
In short, this method is so time-consuming and so annoying that I have never done it. And I've been playing Pokemon for almost 2 decades. Every Feebas I've ever evolved, I've evolved by using a Prism Scale.
I believe, like, even getting a Feebas in the first place is kind of a pain in the ass. Like, it's like RNG tiles or something like that. I don't remember the exact details, but all I know is that I feel like it's a pain in the ass.
And I don't see that changing anytime soon. But what I do see changing sometime soon is your unsubscribed status. If you're not subscribed, you totally should.
What?
I am very close to 2 million subscribers, and I'd like to hit it. And another thing I'd like is you grabbing a plushie of my mascot,
Oh, that's
Mighty.
cute.
There's still some of these plushies left at mnjtvmerch.com. We're selling them till they sell out, so if you want one, go grab one. On the topic of the Prism Scale trade evolution, all trade evolutions are at least somewhat annoying. I know it's to encourage connecting with other players. However, we've all had an experience where there's a Pokemon we want to evolve by trade and someone else has been unavailable, either for a period of time or you just don't know anyone else who plays Pokemon.
That's me. Oh my god, wait guys, that's me. This was me in elementary school. Whoa. Whoa. That's me. You don't have friends.
But I would argue that the most annoying trade evolutions are Shelmet to Excelgor and Carablast to Escavalier. These evolutions require Shelmet to specifically be traded with Carablast, thus causing both to evolve at the same time. This is because the evolution is Shelmet's shell moving from its body to Carablast's, which is admittedly interesting. But regardless of how interesting the design aspect of it,
Oh, wait, that's cute. I never noticed that. Oh, I like that.
Blasts, which is admittedly interesting, but regardless of how interesting the design aspect of it is, it's still more annoying than an average trade evolution, because you have to have one and your trade partner has to have the other. Or you have to have both, and then you trade one of them to them, and then you do the trade for the evolutions, and then do the trade back, and it's just a whole thing. It's far from the most annoying evolution in this video, but it is still a chore. Another classic evolution method is, of course, leveling up, but some instances of this are more annoying than others. A big example is Zweilous into Hydreigon. The Hydreigon line are pseudo-legendaries, which by definition means they're in the slow experience group, among other things. If you didn't know, different Pokemon level up at different rates. And the slow group is, surprise, the slowest group to grow, requiring the most experience to reach level 60 of all Pokemon. Zweilous evolves into Hydreigon at level 64, the highest evolution level in all of Pokemon.
Yeah, like a lot of let's see, Gen 5 Pokemon have like really high like levels for needing the final evolution. It's a bit annoying, especially when you're trying to like Nuzlocke and with a level cap and that kind of stuff, because you're kind of stuck with these mons that literally can't evolve until level 64. And by that point, you're in the E4. You can't evolve them anyway. So it like removes a lot of really viable options, which I didn't like. Other than that, I like the design.
This is less annoying than it used to be. Experience candies being added made this significantly easier. Plus, you can catch high-level Zweilous, at least in Scarlet version. However, it is still a chore, especially if you have a low-level dino that you want to raise all the way up to a Hydreigon. Like, Arceus help anyone who wants to use a Hydreigon on a playthrough team. A similar situation is Cosmoem into Solgaleo or Lunala. Also in the slow experience group, it's tough to raise a Cosmog into Cosmoem into one of its final forms, having a high evolution level of 53 and evolving into Solgaleo or Lunala depending on the game. That's not as high of an evolution level as Hydreigon, but unlike Dino and Zweilous, Cosmog and Cosmoem can't do anything. Cosmog's only moves are Splash and Teleport.
Oh, you're switch training forever. Oh, you're switch training forever, or at least, I don't remember when they introduced, like, XP share for the entire party, but, like, holy.
Cosmoem adds Cosmic Power, a total of 3 moves, none of which can do damage. These Pokemon cannot do anything, and must be leveled up by using the Experience Share or Experience Candy. Like I mentioned with Hydreigon, this evolution method is not as annoying as it was back in Gen 7 because experience candies are a thing, but it's still a time-consuming, huge investment, especially considering that the only level you can obtain a Cosmog at is level 5. Now the effort makes sense. You're getting an extremely strong legendary by the end of it, but that doesn't make it not annoying to deal with. Another Gen 7 Pokemon evolution that can be annoying is Own Tempo Rockruff into Dusk form Lycanroc. Normally, when a Rockruff evolves into its midday or midnight form upon reaching level 25, depends on the time of day, or the version in Gen 7.
Yeah, that makes sense.
However, that doesn't apply to a Rockruff with Own Tempo, which is not its hidden ability. It's a special, totally separate ability. So if your Rockruff does not have Own Tempo, you can never make it have Own Tempo by using an ability capsule or an ability patch, and vice versa. It's basically treated like a completely different species, except for registering in your Pokedex. Own Tempo Rockruffs evolve only into Dusk form Lycanrocs, but only during dusk, of course. What counts as dusk depends on the generation. 5 to 6 p.m. in-game time in Gen 7, 7 to 8 p.m. in real time in Gen 8, and during the 6-minute window of dusk time in Scarlet and Violet.
6 minutes, holy shit.
As a reminder, the clock is 12 hours off in Moon and Ultra Moon, which means if you don't change your 3DS clock, you have to do this evolution between 5 and 6 a.m. So in Gen 7 and 8, you have a 1-hour window, which is a decently sized window, I guess, but if you miss it, you either have to change your system's clock or wait an entire real world day. But then in Scarlet and Violet, you only have a 6-minute window. And if you miss that, you have to wait about an hour because the in-game day and night cycle is 72 minutes, and as of now, there's no way to force another day to occur like there is in Legends Arceus. All of these are easy to deal with if you're prepared and it happens to be the right time. But if something goes wrong, you either have to mess with your system's clock or just sit there and wait. I know, to get the footage of the evolution for the B-roll in this video, I had to just leave my game open idle for like half an hour because it was the morning in Scarlet and Violet and I couldn't move it to dusk. A new evolution method added in 2022 is using a specific move a bunch of times. This is annoying, especially considering the evolution method exists where they just have to know a certain move. And to me, it seems like...
Yeah, I think just knowing a certain move. What was it? Bonsly needs like Mimic to evolve into Sudowoodo, and there's like another mon like that.
They could have just done that. One example of this is evolving Primeape into Annihilape. This requires using Rage Fist a total of 20 times.
And bro has to fucking die or something.
Rage Fist is a great move, but less so on a Primeape that doesn't get stabbed from it, so you're less likely to use it organically. I went out of my way to use it a bunch on a Flittle outbreak, and it's not the most annoying evolution out there, but it's not one I would choose. Stantler into Weird...
Okay, he doesn't have to fucking die, but Pokedex entry says that he gets so mad he dies.
And Hisuian
Well, no, he gets so mad he's dead, but because he's so mad, he's still like alive, yeah.
Quillfish into Overquill are similar, but they have an extra layer of complexity. They have to use moves in a certain style. Stantler has to use Psyshield Bash in Agile style 20 times, while Quillfish has to use Barb Barrage in Strong style.
Oh, he's so angry. Look at him, he's so upset.
20 times. Considering using moves in Agile or Strong style uses 2 PP each usage, and each move only has 10 PP, that means using it 5 times, then healing a total of 4 times, compared to Primeape only having to heal twice, including the one at the end. I understand that using these moves in these specific styles was to make these evolutions possible only in Hisui, but that doesn't mean that it's not annoying. And also, why did they do it for the Quillfish? Like Stantler, I get. You don't want a Stantler in a modern day game to be able to turn into Weirdeer. But if you have a Hisuian Quillfish, like, why can't the Hisuian Quillfish evolve into Overquill anywhere it is? It's already a Hisuian Quillfish. These are not the only annoying evolution methods added in Legends Arceus, though. Arceus. Another one is Ursaring into Ursaluna. This evolution occurs by simply using the Peat Block item, like an evolution stone, which seems simple, but it only works when there's a full moon. How do you know if there's a full moon in your game? You just have to look up. Thankfully, Legends Arceus allows you to progress time by sleeping at camps. Because could you imagine if you couldn't? Like, if you happen to want to do this evolution just a bit after a full moon, you'd be waiting forever. But despite this, it is still quite annoying because you have to sleep, wait for the moon to rise high enough to see if it's full, and then if it's not, go back to sleep. A worse Legends Arceus evolution method though, and probably my least favorite, is evolving Hisuian Basculin into Basculegion. This evolution method becomes available once the Basculin takes over 294, I don't know why it's so specific, HP points of damage from Recoil without fainting.
I feel like Pokemon will always hide like some sort of hidden, I don't know, fun facts and lore in like these very specific numbers. Or they could just be fucking with us. It's like how Spinda has like 360 BST because, you know, 360 degrees in a circle and Spinda's always spinning. That's like cute. But I could not pinpoint where 294 comes from.
Likely by using the move Wave Crash. The part that matters a lot here is the without fainting part, because if your Basculin faints, the count resets. In my Legends Arceus playthrough, I wanted to use Basculegion, so I thought I could accomplish this by using Wave Crash organically as I progressed. However, I didn't realize until later that fainting wiped out all my progress, so I had to go out of my way to KO a bunch of fire types on Firespit Island and heal a lot in the process, since my level 45 Basculin had way less than 300 HP. It felt a lot like the methods where you have to use a move over and over and over again, except with the added layer of complexity where you could mess up and then have to start over again. It was worth it for Basculegion, because Basculegion is awesome, but still, I'd rather not have to deal with it again. Legends Arceus was not the only 2022 game to add some new, annoying evolution methods. I already talked about Primeape into Annihilape, but Legends Arceus technically added that method. Scarlet and Violet added the method of walking 1,000 steps in the overworld with your Pokemon, which applies to Pawmo into Pawmont.
Sorry, I got distracted. Does he have like a pupper or something? Because there's like so much like lint or like white fur on his like black shirt. I was like, oh my god, I need to buy this man a lint roller. Holy shit.
Relor into Rabska, and Bramblin into Bramblegast. And this evolution method sucks. First off, 1,000 steps is almost impossible to track. Is it 1,000 steps for me? Is it 1,000 steps for the Pokemon? How does a tumbleweed take steps? I don't know. It's all very unclear, which makes it even more annoying because you can't really be sure when the Pokemon is ready to evolve. So you could go for a while and guess and level it up and hope and then be wrong and then have to deal with leveling it up again. Plus, the Pokemon are so slow. I can't speak for Bramblin since I just caught a wild Bramblegast, but Palmo and Relor—
It's so tiny. Its legs are so tiny.
move much slower than the player, forcing you to not only stay off your ride Pokemon, but also have your character slowly walk rather than run like they normally would. Now, I know there's that method where you hop atop a Pokemon Center and then just let the Pokemon run in a circle beneath you, but I had trouble making this work. Like, the Pokemon would go for a bit, but then they'd eventually stop unless I moved, which meant just like leaving it idle and then checking and then moving. Or even if it did work, it was just leaving your game idle, which is always annoying to do. In short, I hate this evolution method, especially for these specific Pokemon, and I wish I could have bypassed it by just catching a wild Pawmot or Rabska like I did with Bramblegast. The next Scarlet Violet added evolution method is not as annoying, but it's still a bit of a chore. That being Bisharp into King Gambit. This requires your Bisharp to defeat 3 other Bisharp that are holding Leader's Crests, which are items that are only held by Bisharp running groups of Pawniard. It's cool from a lore sense of things where you
Yeah, I think from like a Pokedex entry to lore sense, I think that's really neat. As a evolution method, it's gonna get really annoying.
You have this Bisharp conquering other armies and assimilating them into its own until it becomes the king. But it's still a bit of a chore to seek out groups of Pawniard run by Bisharp because they seem to be significantly less common than just Bisharps alone. And then of course we have Gimmighoul into Golden Go. You have to obtain—
I have never gotten this guy. You have to get so many coins. And I am not gonna put in the effort to find every single coin because I forget where I have already been. Sometimes I forget to mark things off on the map. And then it's Jover. Have I been here? Who the fuck knows? I didn't mark it down.
999 Gimmighoul coins, and as I'm sure many of you know, this is an entire playthrough task. The chest forms give you 50 to 70 each and only have a 5% chance to respawn each day, and the little ones give you a varying amount, but usually less than 10. You're basically intended to just get 1 Golden Go and then not get any more. I kinda get it. Ever since the Sword and Shield expansion pass, they've liked adding collectibles that have a Pokemon as a reward.
Like, I get it. I'm just not gonna do it.
Like the Diglets in the Isle of Armor, or the Footprints in the Crown Tundra, or the Wisps for Spiritomb in Legends Arceus, and now this. But it is still annoying to get it done. I wanted to use a Golden Go on my playthrough team, and I just couldn't because I wasn't able to find the chests at a quick enough rate. And that brings us to the final and by far the most annoying evolution in all of Pokemon, Meltan into Melmetal.
Okay. I don't know how to get this evolution since, God, I think it came out, was it Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee? I just thought he was a cute little guy.
In case you don't recall, since it's been years since these Pokemon were really discussed, Meltan can only be obtained in Pokemon Go.
Oh, never mind, it was Pokemon Go. Okay, I thought it was Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee.
Making it the only Pokemon usable in mainline games that can only be obtained in a spin-off game. You obtain it by transferring Pokemon to Pokemon Home from Pokemon Go, allowing you to activate the mystery box. Doing so activates a 60-minute timer where Meltan will appear around you in-game for you to catch. So you have your Meltan, and then you just transfer it to a mainline game and evolve it into a Melmetal, right? No! Meltan can only evolve in Pokemon Go and requires 400 candy to do
Holy.
so, tied for the most in the game. Assuming there's no limited time candy boosting event in Pokemon Go, and you successfully use a Pineapple Berry on every single Meltan, you're gonna need around 60 to get 400 candy in order to evolve one of them. There's conflicting info about how many you get per box, but it looks like if you Pineapple Berry every single one, you're gonna need to open the box twice. And this is pretty irritating because you can only open the mystery box every 3 days.
Man, I used to love Pokemon Go. I used to love playing Pokemon Go, huh?
Real world days. You can't fudge it by changing your system's clock. It's Pokemon Go. It uses the internet. This evolution requires playing a spin-off game, having significant resources in that spin-off game, and multiple real world days. It is outrageous how difficult this evolution is. So outrageous that you really don't need to do it anymore. If you really want to Melmetal, just transfer a single Pokemon from Pokemon Go to Pokemon Home. And then in Home, you can claim an event Melmetal. This event doesn't have an expiration date. They started it like 2 years ago and I claimed mine the other day. So if you want to Melmetal, just do that. Don't worry about the 400 candy
That's nice.
insanity unless you're an avid Pokemon Go player and want to just use a Melmetal in the game. Thanks so much for watching, with an extra special thanks to my patrons over on Patreon who are helping support my channel independent of fluctuating YouTube ad rates. And if you want to help support me in the same way, the link's in the description below. Also, don't forget to pick up a Mighty Base Form plush at mnjhbmerch.com. We're selling them until they sell out. And that's all I have for now. So until next time, big fans.
Okay.
Gotta catch them all. Go retail.
All right, thank you so much for watching this with me. I really enjoyed that, just because it reminded me that I didn't have friends in elementary school. Okay, bye.